Well, that worked out pretty well for San Francisco, huh? I mean, really, from just a wire to wire blowout for the 49ers. They were able to go up 27 to nothing at the half. I mean, it was just a really dominating performance, and let's just get into what went so well. Like, let's start things off with their second drive of the game because their first drive was a three and out, but the second drive was definitely an impressive drive. What's going to happen is that Green Bay is going to be in a cover two zone right now. And for San Francisco, what they're going to do is they're going to run play action. And then Debo Samuel is going to run that route right over there, just a little bit further down. It's not a crazy route, nothing too fancy should happen here. Ideally, you could get some players out of position. Maybe Samuel can run to the bottom half of the screen and sort of get to the sideline and gain some yards. However, it's probably not going to go for a ton of yards. So Jimmy Garoppolo, he fakes the handoff. He throws the ball to Samuel. And as you see, Green Bay defender does a good job of making sure he gets back, making sure he is in position to make a tackle on Samuel. But there's one key thing that happens here, and it's going to be that Samuel is a really tough guy to bring down. He's really quick and actually kind of surprisingly strong. He's not the biggest guy, but he definitely is a pretty strong guy. And he's just not going to be able to make a tackle here. And Samuel's able to run over and pick up the first down. And that's huge in those types of plays. It's only designed to gain a few yards, but all you have to do is make one guy miss in a play like this to get a first down. That's kind of the way it works for San Francisco. And honestly, they trust Debo Samuel that he can make guys miss. They just know that that's something that he absolutely can do. And so, you have him run a few plays like that. He'll make somebody miss, and then he can pick up the first down just like that. Samuel really had an amazing game. I thought he's really come into his own. He's a really good wide receiver. One play was actually this one, which kind of was a little bit about just honestly Green Bay's failure just as much as him succeeding. Green Bay is going to be in a cover two zone, and that's going to be Samuel's route, which, okay, pretty good route against this type of coverage. It could kind of get into a gap in coverage in between the safeties and the linebackers. So this definitely is something that can work. But as I alluded to earlier, there is going to be kind of a failure here by Green Bay. And what's going to happen is that their safeties are just too far deep. I mean, watch. Jimmy Garoppolo was easily able to make this throw, and the safeties who started crashing in once they saw that that's where the pass was going still aren't anywhere close to being able to make a tackle here. In fact, Samuel has so much room that he's able to sort of make a move. He runs over a guy and nearly had a chance to stay on his feet and get a touchdown. He just wasn't quite able to keep his balance. The contact of running somebody over was just enough to get him down, but he nearly had a touchdown right there. And the whole reason that happened was because the safeties were playing too far deep. To me, it kind of felt like, Green Bay gave up a few big plays against San Francisco, and it seemed like their mindset was, let's not give up any big plays this game. But because they didn't give up any big plays, they kind of allowed for a lot of smaller plays to happen, and a lot of some of these more just long drives that the San Francisco 49ers were able to pull off. But of course, it wasn't just through the passing game. In fact, it was largely through the rushing game. Mostert had just an amazing game. And, let's just talk about what they did well. It's kind of what they've been doing well all season. It's just blocking and not just blocking, but good blocking concepts, really. First things first, they're going to have their left guard move all the way over to the middle of the field to block that Green Bay player right over there. And not just that, but they're going to have their left tackle actually move out to block that Packer. So this is a little bit interesting. Also, keep in mind that this is a third down and 8. So the fact that they're running the ball here just in general is kind of crazy. However, you might be thinking, okay, so if it's going to be a run to the bottom half of the screen, which it is, then what are they going to do about the two Green Bay players who are on the bottom half of the screen who could potentially make a play? And well, one of them, they're just going to have a player pull over and block him. It'll be their right guard who's going to pull over to the left side to try to make that block. But for the edge rusher, they're just going to leave him unblocked and trust that Monster can just outrun him. So like after the ball is snapped, there definitely is a gap right there that he can run through. However, again, he's going to have to get through this very quickly because there is an unblocked edge rusher who could try to make a play. And if he does make a play and, drops him immediately, then everyone's going to blame Kyle Shanahan and say, what on earth are you doing running a handoff on third down and 8? But he is able to run through that gap, get all the way through, and even outrun the safeties and get all the way into the end zone for a touchdown. So, and again, that's kind of what San Francisco can do. They have a lot of really talented players, and Green Bay Packers, their safeties, they didn't play that well today. Let's be honest, they just didn't, without a doubt. I mean, they didn't have the speed to really keep up with San Francisco. They really do. They run block unlike any other team in the NFL, and this plays another very interesting example. I thought they're going to have their right guard and right tackle double team a Green Bay player right over there. And then the right tackle will get off the double team to move up the block that linebacker, but notice that it's the linebacker furthest up to the top half of the screen, and this is going to be a run to the bottom half of the screen. So again, might seem like a bit of a curious choice. But the reason they're doing this is because they're going to have Kyle Juszczyk actually be the guy who's going to run over to block the linebacker closest to the bottom half of the screen, which, again, some teams wouldn't try to do this, but that's because a lot of teams don't have a fullback who can block as well as Juszczyk can. And also worth mentioning, this play relies on George Kittle being able to block an edge rusher one-on-one. So a lot of things have to go well here. And, some teams can't pull this off because they don't have a fullback and tight end who can make blocks consistently. But, you know, San Francisco, they absolutely can. I mean, just watch. Right after the ball is snapped, everyone's really making their block. I mean, that block you could argue isn't a great block, but it's still far enough away that there's going to be plenty of time for the halfback to adjust and figure out where he wants to run. So 31 is able to get through that hole, he's able to run up, and now at this point, so there's a defensive back who's kind of pushing him towards the safety. So basically the idea is that, okay, I push Mostert towards the safety, and then, the safety will make the tackle, or he'll try to run me over and then I make the tackle. Either way, the tackle is made. Yes, you got the first down, but that's going to happen anyways at this point. However, Mostert can accelerate and can change his direction while running at top speed so well. Watch how he's able to run sort of towards the middle, but then back towards the outside and get around a safety and just pick up a huge gain. Really, when you can make plays like that, when you can have guys like George Kittle and also someone like Kyle Juszczyk make blocks so well, it's very reminiscent of the New England Patriots last year with Rob Gronkowski and James Devlin when they could both make blocks like offensive linemen. It kind of gives San Francisco 7 offensive linemen on every play, but also 2 guys who can actually catch the ball, and they can do it all basically. And Shanahan also just puts these guys in positions to succeed. Like on this one, they're gonna have a right tackle block an interior lineman, then they're gonna have Kittle move up the block that Green Bay player at the second level right over there, and they'll pull their right guard over to block the edge rusher. Doing this gives you creative angles, and right after the ball is snapped, if you notice, I mean, look right there, there's just a ton of space for him to get through, for Monster to get through right here. This is just too easy. On a 3rd down and 2, I could get through that gap. It's such a big hole. He is able to get through it, and they get the first down just like that. And really, I mean, that's why San Francisco is in the Super Bowl, because they can make plays like that. It's remarkable to see. They've been doing a great job all season, so give them a ton of credit. So yeah, congratulations to San Francisco and Kansas City for both going to the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 54. It'll be very fun to see who ends up winning it. It should be a fun game. It really should. I'm going to be making a lot of preview footage, a lot of preview videos coming up in the near future, so definitely be on the lookout for all of those. I thought it was kind of an interesting championship game weekend. I mean, both games kind of ended up as blowouts to a degree. The Titans-Chiefs game was close for a good portion of it, but the Chiefs definitely pulled away at the end. And then, of course, this game was not close really at all. So, usually you like to see at least one of these games be close. Unfortunately, neither one of them really ended up that close. However, at the same time, I mean, at least on the bright side, it looks like we're going to have a really good Super Bowl. I mean, I think there's just so much interesting things that are going to be happening in this Super Bowl. You have the whole idea of the 49ers' great rushing attack going up against a team that has given up rushing yards this year. I do think that the Chiefs, actually, their offense matched up really well against the 49ers' defense because, the Chiefs throw the ball a lot, and the 49ers, they specialize in stopping the run. They also specialize in getting to the passer, but at the same time, listen, the Chiefs have done a pretty good job of protecting Mahomes, and as Mahomes showed against the Titans, he can absolutely move around in the pocket. So that should be another very interesting thing to talk about, and definitely is going to be something that I will be talking about these next couple of weeks. You also have interesting things like who's going to be able to try to cover Tyreek Hill. Is Richard Sherman going to be doing it? I know he tends to not travel, but you know, Richard Sherman, he's kind of the guy he's a big physical guy who obviously he is quick, but he's not Tyreek Hill quick. So what'll happen when those two guys line up against each other? That should be very interesting. Honestly, I could go on and on. There's like 19 things I still haven't mentioned yet. But the reality is, I just think that there's going to be so much fun things to talk about, and I'm going to have a lot of fun these next couple of weeks just breaking down pretty much everything I can. So be on the lookout for that. And of course, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks for watching.